And this is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Lots to talk about. It's Sunday morning, and as I always say on Sunday, we do get some odd stories on a Sunday morning because the way the British press works is Sunday morning has always traditionally been a place where you get out there sort of stories. So we've been linked to Grealish again, which is just a load of crap, but I'll talk about that in a bit. Also, I've watched the United game. I don't know whether anyone else wanted to put themselves through that last night. I didn't really want to, but I did watch it, so I can tell you who played well, who didn't play well. A couple of senior players did not play well yesterday, which is a bit worrying. Badiashile bid potentially going in for Manchester United, and the latest on where we're standing with Sancho, Reguilon, and the start to the season. So lots and lots to talk about. I hope you're all doing well today. We've got the Sunday show tonight. Looking forward to that. We're 6 days out to the start of the season now, so lots to talk about. But I'm going to start about Badiashile. Benoit Badiashile, 19-year-old centre-back, left-sided centre-back, left-footed, tall, quick. Basically, very, very similar to a sort of profile of a Gabriel at Arsenal, you know, and what Manchester United need. Now, we didn't go for Gabriel. A lot of people think we should have gone for him after his performance yesterday. I would say he looked good, but it's Fulham, it's early days, but definitely the sort of profile of a player that we should be looking at. And I think a lot of people missed this. This story came out in the print of L'Equipe, or however you pronounce it, French outlet, yesterday. It wasn't put out on any Twitter feeds or anything like that, so I think a lot of people missed it. It was in the print, which is their, you know, the paper that they print, saying that Manchester United are preparing a bid for Benoit Badiashile of £23 million. Now, I always felt that Manchester United were looking at a left-sided centre-back, but we've heard over the last week that they're not. Manchester Evening News have even said that Badiashile is not a priority for Manchester United. However, 2 weeks ago, there was quite a lot of noise out of it. A few blue tick French outlets were saying that Manchester United are interested. So much so that the manager Kovac of Monaco did come out and say that it would take a massive bid. They're not going to sell him. I mean, look, it doesn't look massively likely, but it's interesting that that has been mentioned again, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense for French outlets to be talking about it when Monaco have said he's definitely going to stay. When you know, some English press has said United are not interested. Monaco are not stirring this up to sell him. So it's different to Sergio Reguilon, where that is just being stirred up by Madrid. They're trying to get us involved because they're trying to stir up a bid. The Monaco Badiashile thing doesn't actually make a lot of sense for Monaco to stir it up. So I'm just wondering why it's coming, and I'm wondering actually if it's coming from the agent of Badiashile who wants to get out of Monaco and would quite fancy a move to Manchester United. So interesting on that. I'm not going to go massively on it. I just think it was interesting that it came out yesterday. Let's see what happens with it. You know, left-footed, quick, fantastic talent, fits the profile that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer really does want, and £23 million is not a lot of money for somebody who, again, who is considered to be one of the best up-and-coming French centre-backs. So, look, I would love United to go and get a player like that because it's better than absolutely nothing. We saw Fosu Mensah playing at centre-back yesterday. We've seen Mengi involved. Twansebi's back from injury, and as far as I'm concerned, they're all right-footed. So, where is this? We do need more left-footed defenders, and that's just where we are with this. Thiago's interesting. I expected something to come out a bit about Thiago today. Obviously, there was a bit of a meltdown yesterday. We did the video on it, if you haven't seen that, yesterday afternoon about Thiago to United. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but doesn't feel like it is going to happen very quickly because, you know, trust me, the British press would have been looking at what happened yesterday. They would have seen the buzz around Thiago. They would have made a few calls, and if there was anything in it, they would have jumped on it, and they haven't yet. So I don't know what happened yesterday with this big interest in that apparently United have in Thiago. It's going to happen. Let's see if it happens. I'd like it to happen, but nothing advanced on that at the moment. Reguilon, there's talk that Reguilon or whatever his bloody name is there's talk that he actually wants to go back to Sevilla now because he sees his long-term future at Real Madrid, which is what I was trying to say last night. A lot of people getting angry that United won't pay 30 million for him because Romano said he wants to come to United. But there's probably a buyback clause there. He's clearly being touted around everywhere, and he may not even want to come to United. He may, you know... So I just think, as I said last night, Tellez, you know, there are left-back options out there. Let's not all get obsessed by Sergio Reguilon, who actually, there's never been anything credible that United are in advanced talks with him. You know, we're in advanced talks with Sancho. You can take that to the bank. We are in advanced talks with Sancho, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But with Reguilon, United have never leaked it out that we're in talks. It's well known that we're monitoring, but we've never been that deep into it. So I would say let's just see what happens with that one. Hi Mark, looking forward to another great show. Can you do a 21st birthday shout out to our kid Oshin for today? Cheers, says Conor Mack. There you go. Shout out and happy 21st birthday. And Bale to start against Palace, says Chris Ashworth. I'll talk about Bale in a minute, but I refuse to talk about Bale in the first 5 minutes of a show. And Embress says, can you talk about Bale? I'll talk about that in a moment. Well, it'll sort of feed into what I'm going to talk about now. I watched the game last night, and I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes' time, because I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, but some of you might not have seen it yet. But I can give you a sort of summary on that. But Luke Shaw did come out after the game. Now, Luke Shaw had a very good game again yesterday. A very good game. And, anybody who watched it, you can't deny that. His haters will say it's only a friendly, but Harry Maguire was crap, and Marcus Rashford was not very good. I mean, to be fair, Marcus Rashford was played as a number 10. I don't get why people think Marcus Rashford can play at number 10. He is not a player who is good with... He's just not an intelligent player to play at number 10 like that. Marcus Rashford can be one of the world's best players off the left-hand side. He is explosive, he is direct, and he's got a great shot. Marcus Rashford with the ball into his feet, looking for little intricate passes. This is a player that we love Rashford at United, but we're always saying he closes his eyes on headers, and his final ball leaves a lot to be desired at times. How is that at number 10? He's not a number 10. So I think he was thrown in yesterday by Ollie because he's got nobody else who could play that role. So, Luke Shaw played well yesterday. But and I'm a big fan of Luke Shaw, but he came out after the game and he said, and we've seen a lot of them tweeting today, Harry Maguire's done it, Dean Henderson, good to get minutes in the leg. You lost, lads, by the way, but it is good to get minutes in the legs. But let's not all start having a social media tweet about it. Let's not do that this season. I don't want to see United, after bad performances this season, going, we gave it our all, we go again. We finished third last year. We've got to progress. Time is running out to do these transfers. Luke Shaw came out after the game yesterday and said, we're ready for the new season. We are not ready for the new season. And I know he's got to come out and say that, and any United player is going to say it. It can be your favourite player or your worst player. You get them in front of a mic at the moment and they'll go, we're ready for the new season. We're not ready for the new season. There is no difference. In fact, we're probably in a worse position than we were against Sevilla. I know Luke Shaw's back, but we've got so much going on. The papers going in on Mason Greenwood again today is a bloody disgrace, by the way. I mean, look, there's pictures of him allegedly doing something with laughing gas or something like that. And what we're seeing here again from the British press is, Mason Greenwood's barely even burst on the scene. They're breaking their own records here. He's not, last season was good for Greenwood, but this is his breakout season. We love to build people up and knock them down. Now, he made a mistake last week, but he made a mistake with Phil Foden. Is Phil Foden in the papers today? No, because they're probably not putting... And people will say, well, they haven't found anything else about Foden. I wonder how much attention they're putting in on Foden, who had a girlfriend and a child and still had bloody people back to his room to do whatever. Mason Greenwood doesn't have... I don't know whether he's in a relationship, but he hasn't got any kids. What I'm trying to say is they're equally culpable of what happened last week on England duty, but now we've got more Sunday papers again talking about Mason Greenwood doing other things. And look, you know what? As a Manchester United fan, can I just say, I don't care. I don't care. Like, he's 18 years of age. I'm old enough to have seen young footballers make mistakes. And at 18, is that not the time to make mistakes? Yes, he's living a privileged life. Yes, he's got to grow up. Rio Ferdinand said it yesterday. But he's also got to be allowed to come back from his mistakes. And I think, trying to find things he's done already... Well, look, the line was crossed last week with England. That's the wake-up call for Greenwood. If he's done something this weekend, right, fine. His attitude needs to be really resolved. But I just don't like that sort of thing. Where and our press is terrible for it. Where somebody does something wrong and it's like... You can almost imagine it. Journalists being briefed by their editor. Right, I want everything. You speak to all his friends. You speak to anybody. Somebody will give us something about that lad. Because next Sunday we want another big exclusive. Greenwood's done this. And it's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. Because you know what? People will read it. People will have a look at it. But as a Manchester United fan, do you care what Mason Greenwood's been up to? Like, I don't. I mean, unless he's done something, really seriously wrong. If it's just stupid things that youngsters all over the world are doing, then look, he's got to learn from that. But he's our player. He's a fantastic talent. He's made a few mistakes, maybe. We've got to support him. And if he does it again, he does it again, and then that's an issue. But I just think it's really, really sickening of the press to keep doing it again and again and again. And the outlets who do it. And I don't know why people click, and I don't know why people buy it. Because they'll do it to anybody. It doesn't matter what team you support. They'll do it to a Liverpool player. They've done it to Sterling. They'll do it to Greenwood. They will do it to anybody. And it's disgusting. They're vile. They're absolutely vile. They will throw somebody out to the wolves just for a click of a story. And you know what? These things can end badly. We've seen it. And I'm not saying it's going to end badly with Mason Greenwood because he'll have great support at Manchester United. But we've seen people hounded in the press and they end up doing something really sad. And it's wrong. And we shouldn't, he's a footballer. He's a young footballer. And that's all I'm interested in at the moment. He's paid the price for what happened in England with England duty. And we need to move on and we need to support the kid. And if he blows it, he blows it. But he's young and he needs support. Touch wood, Mengi looked so good yesterday. Maybe Ollie wants to see more of him to understand whether we should go for Upamecano next season, says Shake. But we're not, going back to what Luke Shaw said, we're not ready for this new season. We've had all these things with Greenwood and still are. Maguire. Pogba's had coronavirus. Bruno's only just coming back, obviously because of the birth of his child. We still don't know what signings we're going to make. United can, and Luke Shaw said, it's about winning trophies. We've got to do better than finishing third. That team is not going to do better than finishing third this season. It's not. Donny van der Beek looked good yesterday, but he is not going to make us better than third because Chelsea finished level points with us and have bought way better than just van der Beek. So we are not ready for the new season at all. We're not ready. We're not ready for the new season. And United fans aren't stupid. Doesn't mean we can't be ready, but we're not ready at the moment. Anybody who thinks we're going into this season, whether it be Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, and we're ready for a new season, don't treat us like idiots. We're not ready to go into this season and progress. We're ready to go and finish fourth. I think that team's more than ready to finish fourth, but it is not ready to go any better than that. We have not progressed from that Europa League semi-final, really. We've added Donny van der Beek in, which gives us a little bit of depth of quality, but we have not added the players that we needed to, and we have not removed the players that we needed to. It's been a very, very poor summer from Manchester United so far in the transfer window. And I love Donny van der Beek, I do, but that's not enough. It's nowhere near enough, and we have not removed anywhere near enough of the deadwood. And what I'll emphasise that for you, if you watch the game against Aston Villa yesterday, the three positives for me were Luke Shaw, Donny van der Beek and Dan James. That might surprise people, but it was. I thought Fosu Mensah did okay at centre-back. I thought McTominay was okay in the midfield. I thought Lingard was okay. Players that didn't perform well. Rashford didn't play well as a number 10. He's just not a number 10. Agallo was really disappointing up front and has been disappointing for quite a while now. I thought he was very disappointing after lockdown. Have we jumped too soon on Agallo? He came in, he did really well, and actually now he's looking very, very average. Harry Maguire was really poor. Hopefully that's just he's not been training much, but he was poor. And Delot was poor. So, we've still got a lot of deadwood in that club. Harry Maguire's not deadwood. Marcus Rashford not deadwood. These are players that are going to be part of the future of Manchester United. But people like Agallo and Delot and the lack of squad depth, again, is going to cost us this season. It's going to cost us, Is everybody back next week? Is Greenwood back? Is Martial back? Is Pogba back? Is Bruno back? Is Wan-Bissaka back? I mean, you hope they're all going to be back, but we've got 6 days, and I just don't think we're prepared. I don't think we're prepared, and it goes back again to the negotiations and the activity in the transfer window. And yet again, we've had how many summers in a row is this now? This goes back to Sir Alex Ferguson years. It's not just the last couple of years. It happened with Mourinho, it happened with Van Gaal, it happened with Moyes, it happened with Sir Alex. We go into a transfer window saying we need to get rid of at least 3 and bring 3 in. And here we are, 6 days out from the start of the season. We've got rid of 1 player and we've brought 1 player in. It is not enough. We needed to do Chelsea-like business this summer. Not in relation to the ins, but we needed to get rid of 3 or 4 players. And I don't know what we've been doing. What have we been doing for the last 6 weeks in the transfer window? Next to nothing, really. Next to nothing. The press have their new victim. They build them up and knock them down. They're parasites. Always have been and always will be, says Connor Buckley. Welcome to the Members Club. Soham, welcome and thank you for joining. And Gustav says, controversy sells, especially when it's concerning certain people from certain backgrounds. Sickening how they're trying to throw a kid under the bus. Well, I think, you know what? Manchester United, I think, understand this sometimes, but we understand it as a fan base. This fan base is ridiculously passionate and loyal to its football club. And if the owners of the club deliver the players, they will get the praise. I think sometimes the owners of the club think we're just negative for negative purposes. We're negative because they provide us the platform as fans to be negative because they don't produce positive outcomes. But when it comes to our players, I think, you look at Harry Maguire, you look at Mason Greenwood, Manchester United fans will back those players because ultimately they see what they bring to Manchester United or what they can bring to Manchester United. And the press can try whatever they're going to try and do with Greenwood, but it's not going to turn United fans against him because we will give him a chance and we do believe in the talent. And I've said this many times before. Actually, what are players like off the pitch in some ways doesn't really matter. To me, it's a bonus if you're a Wan Matter and you do great charity work and you're just a really nice guy. But I'll tell you what, there's plenty of United legends who are complete dickheads off the pitch, and that's just life. Never meet your heroes. That's what they say. What you do on a football pitch in a Manchester United shirt is ultimately what you will be remembered for, and that's what we want you to do. If off the pitch, you're a great guy and you brilliant. But does it really matter if they're a bit of a dick? Because ultimately, we don't talk to them when they're on the pitch. We watch them play football. And you know what? Maybe you haven't mixed in circles or met many professional footballers, and maybe you have. But I'll tell you now, they're not all nice people. Some of them are so far up their arse. They're Adam's apples, their forehead. It's just the way it is, and that's everywhere in life. These people you see on the telly, the famous actors and everything like that. If you think they're really nice people in real life, down to earth, they'll go for a pint with you and ask you how you're doing. They're not. They live in a bubble. A lot of them are idiots. But it doesn't really matter because you might like the films. You might like how they act. I mean, look, I'm not going to give it. I was going to give an example of an actor I really like and a role he plays, but in real life, idiot. But I'm not going to do that because it's not fair, and I don't believe in all that. But what I would say is that what Mason Greenwood does off the pitch, as long as it's not illegal. And obviously some of this alleged stuff is, but he's a young lad with an amazing talent. And if he delivers in a Manchester United shirt with that amazing talent for the next 12 years, does it matter to you if off the pitch, he likes to have a bit of a good time? It might not be how you live your life, but who are you to judge what he does in his private life if it's not affecting you? What affects you is what Mason Greenwood does on the pitch. If he goes off with your missus, then okay, I understand that you might have a problem with Mason Greenwood. But the reality is we're Manchester United fans, and what he does on the football pitch is what matters the most. Let Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Manchester United Football Club manage what he does off the pitch. That's their job. That's what they're paid to do. Our job is to support our players on the football pitch until it becomes a problem off the pitch. And I don't see what he's doing at the moment as a big issue for me for an 18-year-old lad. I think it's a learning process. I mean, can you remember when you're 18? Some of you may not even be 18 yet. You're 18 years of age. You've got any car you want. You've got girls throwing themselves at you. And boys. And I'm not saying Mason Greenwood's interested in boys, but what I'm saying is, look, we live in a diverse world. Everybody adores you. You've got loads of money. You've got everybody telling you're great, and you're 18 years of age. And I look back to when I was 18, and I think if I had all that, at 18 years of age, I wasn't as mature as I was at 20, 25, 30. You've got to learn life, and when you're learning life, when everyone's going, "You're great, here I am," it's like being in a sweet shop when you're a kid, isn't it? Or another shop when you're older. Use your imagination. It's difficult, and there's a lot to learn. And I think some people in life go, "Well, he's loaded. He shouldn't be doing that." Money doesn't make you, as I said before, money doesn't make you a great person. It doesn't make you a well-rounded person, and it doesn't necessarily make you not make bad decisions. And life is littered with people who are loaded, who have made bad decisions. Some people a lot older than Mason Greenwood who've used that money and power to do very, very bad things. We've seen it over in America with some of these film directors who were very rich people, very powerful people, well into their 30s, 40s, 50s, and they're doing illegal things, things that you go to prison for a long time for in a sexual way against women. So let's get a little bit of context here. The fact that he's a rich young footballer doesn't mean that he can't make mistakes and do things that most young people are doing anyway. I think a little bit of context and support is important. Let's give him it. Jim Short says he's fallen in a well, send help. And Spurs in a Jose second season, Chelsea winning transfer window, and if Willian kicks Arsenal on Everton, and surprised we might not make top four as things stand. We're not ready for the start of the new season, Roller. It wouldn't surprise me in the first two games of the season against Palace and Brighton if we drop points, and then Ollie's under pressure straight away, and it's not fair. And that, I think this is something we're going to talk about more on the Sunday show tonight. But if we drop points in the first three games, people are going to go mad about the transfer window. People are going mad about the transfer window anyway. I'll tell you now, if we drop points in the first three games, because I think we should win all three, if we drop points in the first three games, the obvious default position is going to be, we didn't prepare for this season well enough, he wasn't given the players that he needed. And that's the truth now. We might get away with it, we might not, but we are not prepared for the start of this season. He has not got the players he wanted, and he's still got players he doesn't want. It's my mate Justin's birthday, says Sherman. Happy birthday to him. And unpopular opinion, Rashford really should focus his game on the drop-off after injuries, worrying me. Maybe stay low in the off-field stuff, says Nidans. I mean, yeah, but what Marcus Rashford's doing off the pitch is amazing. It's doing so much good for the society in this country, specifically, you know, poverty and children. That's for the club to make a decision like that. He's doing so much good stuff off the pitch. On the pitch, he's struggling a bit, but I think Rashford will have a good season this year. Just get him back on the left wing. That's where his position is. He's not a number 10. He's not a creator. He's, you know, I think everybody needs, sometimes everybody wants a top player to be everything. Martial's not a box-to-box player. You know, Pogba's not a striker. Marcus Rashford's not a number 10. Marcus Rashford is a player, you get the ball into the feet and you see what's going to happen. He's a skillful, direct, fast, good shooter of the ball. He is not a creator. He is not a 1-2 player. He is not an eye-of-the-needle pass player. That's not what he is. And I think yesterday we tried to put him in that position, maybe because we didn't have anybody else, and it didn't work. Get him back on the left. That's where I want to see Rashford. Sancho is coming because of one reason. Only personal terms and agent fees agreed. Which agent and player agrees terms if they know that the club they're going to agree with eventually won't pay the fee, says Soam. Teams will have at least one competitive game before United get to play them. Is that a disadvantage, says Inni. Well, Crystal Palace next week have played. Brighton are playing Chelsea. They'll have played 2 games. Let me just bring you up to date a little bit with some of the Sunday morning paper stuff. The Daily Mail, inverted commas, they're saying that United are continuing talks with Jadon Sancho and Jack Grealish. I can tell you now, we are not talking to Jack Grealish. That is over. We've got Donny van der Beek. We're hopefully going to get Jadon Sancho and maybe a left back, hopefully a centre back. We won't be going in for Jack Grealish. That Jack Grealish will stay at Aston Villa. So I don't know where that's coming from. There's also talk that we're going to abandon hope on the Jadon Sancho business to bring in Gareth Bale. I mean, I'll abandon hope in our owners again if they drop talks for Jadon Sancho to bring in Gareth Bale, who would be on more wages than Jadon Sancho, definitely, who is 31, who has barely played any football for a couple of years and is definitely not the long-term solution for Manchester United. So Gareth Bale makes no sense, and dropping interest in Jadon Sancho to go for Gareth Bale when that person said before you put so much work into the Jadon Sancho deal. You know, we've agreed terms, we've agreed personal terms, we've agreed the agent fees. He wants to come. All you've got to do is agree a deal with Borussia Dortmund. And I'll say it again. If United think they can walk away from this deal and anyone's going to give them a high five and bang their chest, they're very much mistaken, and they will have to reap the whirlwind of that huge mistake, which basically will be, we may as well get rid of the neon Old Trafford at Old Trafford and say we don't back Ollie. Because that's what the club's message will be. We don't back Ollie. If you don't get Jadon Sancho, you don't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will still come out and say, I support, I've got the backing. Well, you haven't. You haven't. You don't walk all the way down the road to get Jadon Sancho and then just within touching distance turn around and say, no, I can't be bothered. And that's what will happen if they don't get him. I'm totally confident that they will still bring him into the club because, what they're going to say, 100 million's too much. It's not. It isn't. The Kai Havertz transfer is 100 million all in with add-ons and everything like that. So Sancho, to me, with being at a better club than Leverkusen and having performed more consistently and for longer on the top stage than Havertz has. Havertz's breakout season really properly was last year. Sancho's been doing it for a couple of years at least, and also he's English. So 108 million euro for Jadon Sancho, 108 million pounds for Jadon Sancho, 120 million euro as a package. It's not over the top. It isn't over the top. And people say, well, COVID, the price should be reduced. It already is reduced. 108 million pounds, 120 million euros is already reduced because of COVID, because Barcelona paid 135 million for Coutinho, 135 million for Dembele. Sancho really should be 150. He's 108. The price has already been knocked down. The price is right. Mark, tell me how have Chelsea bought 50 players in the space of a few weeks and we have only made one transfer? Is it just because we don't have a director of football? Andrew, I think it is. I always think it is because we don't have a director of football. I really do think it's a lack of a director of football that makes us totally inadequate when it comes to transfers. And look, we will sign Sancho in my opinion, and everyone will start going Woodward's a boss. But then when the dust settles, and when at Christmas we drop some more points, you'll all be pointing back to the summer and going, that wasn't good enough. The same thing happened last year. We bought Maguire and we bought Wan-Bissaka, and they were really good signings. But many of us said we've bought no midfielders and we bought no attackers. We're going to struggle, and we did. And by Christmas, people were moaning about the board. They didn't back Ollie, they didn't back Ollie. Well, to be honest with you, Van der Beek and Sancho and not removing the deadwood is not a good transfer window. It isn't. I mean, Sancho's a great signing, but so much more needed to be done, and so much hasn't been done again. And it, to me, it always comes down to the director of football problem. We have not got competent people dealing with negotiations to buy players, sell players, and renew contracts. The renewal of our contracts is embarrassing. The money we pay people. We gave Phil Jones a 5-year contract last year. I don't think people remember that. We gave Phil Jones a 5-year contract last year. And in the previous 5 years he'd been here, he'd been injured for over half of it and played crap for the other half. And yet we gave him a 5-year contract. What club does that, let alone Manchester United? We gave Andres Pereira a new contract. You know, these players are on 70, 80 grand a week as well. Like, it's not just buying players, it's selling players, it's contract renewal. We're a bloody mess. We're a joke in relation to how we deal with transfers. And we still are. You know, we're still not good at it. And they still won't bring a director of football in. And when they talk about bringing a director of football in, it's a reduced role director of football. It's not somebody who's going to oversee transfers, who's going to oversee renewals. It's almost like a puppet. We have got a director of football, but you've got no power. That's what they're trying to do. Alfred says, but will Sancho happen if it doesn't happen today? I mean, that's a good point. We desperately need something to happen with the Sancho deal today or tomorrow if we want him to play against Crystal Palace, because it will be 2 or 3 days after that before he's holding the shirt up. So even if it starts, you know, what we need is Romano or somebody to go, here we go, like today or tomorrow, so that we can get him holding the shirt up by Wednesday or Thursday. And if he's not doing that, he's not going to play against Palace. And look, I'm confident we're going to sign Sancho, but I've got to be honest with you, I'm very, very, very frustrated if he doesn't play against Crystal Palace, because we're playing roulette again with Ollie's career. We did it with Bruno. He could have played for that Burnley game, but we stretched it out to save money, and we lost to Burnley, and we lost 3 points. Luckily, we still got top 4, but those 3 points we would not have lost if Bruno had played against Burnley at home against Old Trafford. So we're going to do it again. We're going to play Palace without Sancho, and I'm sorry, that to me is a potential to drop points. Maybe not lose, but we could draw. Mehil says, in my opinion, last night's game clearly proves our third priority has to be a young understudy striker to Martial, then a centre-back. Agallo is third cover at best. So many good balls in the box and 0 finishes. Mehil, I don't rate Agallo. I know it's controversial to say that because everybody loves Agallo, and I do. He's living the dream. But I wasn't happy with us renewing his contract. I wanted him to go in the summer. I was like, yeah, come in January, fill us, help us out to the end of the season, then go. And we went and give him a contract till bloody January. And I tell you what's going to happen. We're going to sign Josh King, who to me is no better than Agallo. They're not the quality of backup striker Manchester United need. And again, it's just making do, papering the cracks. Something we've been doing for a very long time. We paper the cracks, and this is why director of football is important as well, because instead of being at the end of the January transfer window, spending all of the January transfer window, stretching out the Bruno deal, and then on the last day, basically trying to buy any old shit like Josh King, Rondon. We were linked to loads of crap players because we were desperate, and we ended up getting Agallo, which I actually thought was a good deal. Desperate, but a good deal. If you've got a director of football, they don't do those sort of deals, because if you've got a director of football, they'll be saying to Solskjaer, there's this young player playing for Lille, Osman, we could probably get him. There's another player in Germany, looks pretty decent as a striker. Also, you've got more established players who look quite good. They've got this lad in Italy, there's a lad here, playing in the lower half of the Premier League. That's what a director of football does. They're not just buying players. They're not just involved in negotiations. They're not just involved in a consultancy role. They're there to make Solskjaer's job easier and say, look, there's this player here. There's this player here. There's this player here. Who's doing that for Solskjaer at the moment? Problems. problems. Mark, do you think Ollie threw out the bench yesterday as a last-ditch effort to show the board that he needs signings, as Benson? I think that he played the players that he played yesterday because there's nobody else to pick. I'll tell you who did do well yesterday. Tahith Chong played really well yesterday. Scored another goal for Werder Bremen in his first proper game. Keep your eye on Chong. He's not playing in the bloody German second division. He's playing in the Bundesliga for Werder Bremen. It's a good standard of football. This is where people like Ousmane Dembele, Jadon Sancho, Havertz, Timo Werner, get him in the Premier League. They're brilliant. Well, if Chong does well at Werder Bremen and he's getting lots of assists and lots of goals for Werder Bremen, he's in the category of Havertz and Werner and Dembele and Sancho. I'm not saying he's as good as them, but he's performing in the league that they performed that pricked up the ears of the rest of Europe. So keep your eye on Chong. I mean, if he fills out and gets used to playing men's football, he's a very, very, very interesting player for United still. And it's a very, very good loan that we've sorted out for him there. Absolutely perfect. This is exactly what we should have done with Angel Gomez. It's exactly what we should be doing with some of our younger players this year. So keep your eye on him. Also, I mean, look, this story made me laugh. I've sort of left it towards the end on purpose. There is no Thiago talk in the press at the moment at all. I don't know what's going to happen with that. I don't know whether there was any truth in what happened yesterday, but we'll see. Do you think Ollie can get sacked for Poch this season, says Alfred? I think it's a big season for Ollie, and I think the club need to back him. And I don't think they have backed him yet. Arsenal were lucky yesterday, Mark. Fulham played into their hands by attacking. Arsenal are not good at opening intact lower block defences. Your thoughts? So I don't really care. We're not playing Arsenal for a while. We've got to take care of our own business, to be honest with you. And I'm starting to think that as incompetent as this club is from transfers, there just aren't any real takers for all the deadwood, says Karen. Yeah, well, that's true. We will struggle to offload the deadwood because we pay them too much. But there's a story from Duncan Castles this morning about Mbappe wanting to leave PSG next summer and United's on the list. I file this story in the drawer of totally and utterly irrelevant news that will get United fans feeling excited about a transfer that won't happen, that isn't going to happen now anyway. This is the sort of nonsense story that we need to totally ignore and focus on the now. I don't care whether Kylian Mbappe would consider coming to United next summer because it's not next summer. It's now. It's the start of this season. We've got to stop living in the future and start delivering now. There is no reason for Manchester United not to go into this season prepared with good players and crap players gone. I don't care what Mbappe is going to do next year. What we're going to talk about Haaland next year as well. It's irrelevant and he probably won't come. Why do we have to start thinking about big signings for next summer when there's a big signing this summer that we should have already that we still haven't got? I don't care where Mbappe is going to go. I don't care where Haaland's going to go. The future will take care of itself and it probably won't happen anyway. We need to focus on the now. People who get excited and take their focus off the now about the future fail. Because there is no positive, there is no excitement, there is no reassurance in the fact that Mbappe might want to come to Manchester United next year when his dream is to go to Real Madrid anyway. We need to focus on the now. I couldn't give two shits about what Mbappe wants to do in a year's time because we've got a whole year to fill as Manchester United Football Club. We finished third in the Premier League. We've now got to try and finish higher than that. The only improvement we'll do for United this season, and as we are right now, I'm worried that we can even finish third again. I really am worried. I don't see how we're going to progress this season with the current squad that we've got and the current deadwood that is still at the club. And I put that down, not to Solskjaer, I put that down to the board and the negotiation again. It's been poor and it's been slow and it's been frustrating and they need to pull their finger out. We need to see, here we go, on a Sancho deal in the next 48 hours if he's going to play against Palace at the weekend. And at the moment, there's a lot of people feel that's not going to happen. I don't know. I was told that this weekend was going to be make or break for the deal. We've still got today. I don't know whether we're going to get that. It's very quiet at the moment. And I think Sancho's got a game for Dortmund tomorrow. So, look, if he's playing in that game tomorrow for Dortmund, I think forget it. He ain't going to be playing against Palace on Saturday, which to me is a disgrace because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should be given the tools to succeed, and that starts on day one. Look at Leeds yesterday. They bloody nearly got a point against the best team in the world, or the best team in England. Very nearly. Palace could come and do that easily to us on Saturday, and we're going to go into it without Sancho. That, to me, shows a lack of ambition and a lack of support from the manager, again, because we're elongating deals. Pay the money, get the player on the pitch, Get the buzz. Let's go into the season prepared. Let's not go into it with our trousers loose because they could end up behind our ankles. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. Sam Herbert says, I don't think Badiashile is quick enough. Wouldn't compliment Maguire. What do you think? I think he's quick enough, Sam. Yeah, I do think he's quick enough, yeah. And could have guessed that the goal we conceded was a cross into the ball and headed in yesterday. Why have we been so bad at dealing with crosses post-lockdown, says Ben Mann. I think, as I said last night, the scary thing for me is a large reason for spending £80 million on Harry Maguire was to make us have a player like Vidic in the air who wins everything. We concede too many crosses and he doesn't score enough corners. For me, Harry Maguire is not performing to the level of an £80 million centre-back. A lot of the money we spent on Maguire was for aerial dominance and we're not getting it. We're conceding from corners and we're not scoring from we're conceding from crosses and we're not scoring enough from crosses. Maguire needs to improve in both of those areas. He's the captain of the club, he needs to organise the defence and he needs to dominate the air. And that is what Harry Maguire needs to be doing more of, which is why I didn't want him to be captain this year, because I think he needs to focus on his own game. I don't think he's settled at United yet. I think it's a big season for Harry Maguire, but I think because he's got the captaincy, everyone just thinks he's established. I don't think he has established himself. I think he had a mixed, I think he had a good first season, but I think it could have been a lot better. And I think the captaincy just gives him too much responsibility when he needs to settle in as a Manchester United centre-back. But that's just my opinion. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll speak to you later. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And let's see and hope that we get some movement on a United transfer today. Because we bloody need it. Because whoever it is, they need to be coming in very, very soon. Because we've got a game in 6 days. Speak to you in a bit.